Really, when we talk about punctuating adjective clauses, it's all about whether the information, the adjective clause, is just extra information and has no effect, really, on identifying the noun in front of it. It's just extra. Or is it important enough to the sentence that it carries the meaning in the sentence? Okay? So, if it's just extra information, commas or no commas?
Commas.
Commas. If it's extra information, you got to put commas. If it's critical to the meaning of the sentence, it's important, no commas. Come up here a minute, Rafid. All right. Now, let me ask you a question. Think of these as knives, okay? Okay? Now, let me ask you a question. Let's say Rafid is here, right? Can I shake your hand? Now, if this were a knife and I started to cut his arm off, right? He needs his arms, right? Man, don't use knives. Right? Someone's going to bleed. His arm is so important to his body, I can't use knives or commas. I got to leave the poor guy alone, because if I take his arm off, he's going to die, right? So just think, important to his body or the sentence, no comma, put the knives away. Okay? Now, if I was an amazing knife thrower, right? Can I see your hat? Yeah. Just set it on top of your head. Yeah. Just barrel it. Okay. Yeah. Hey, this is a knife, right? And let's just say I'm a professional knife thrower, and I wanted to knock his hat off, right? And I'm not gonna. You can sit down. And so if I was good, I could throw the comma or the knife at him, knock the hat off, and he's fine. He's still Rafid, right? So if that helps you remember, great. So if it's important, we don't want any blood. Get rid of the commas, okay? If it's just extra, it's a hat or something you can just give away, then you can use a knife, okay? Because it's not going to hurt anything.
That's right.
Is that all right? Everybody okay?
Yes, sir.
Here's the other thing that I think is an important rule. When the noun in front of the adjective clause is a proper noun, so the name of a specific person, place, or thing, guess what? Anything I say after that, if I say Rafid, okay, and then I give you an adjective clause to describe him, you know who he is. Anything I say after that isn't really that important, okay? So always put the adjective clause or phrase after the noun, a proper noun, in commas. Does that make sense? As soon as you see a proper noun and then an adjective clause, it requires commas, no matter what. It makes life easy, okay? Here's an example. Well, they give you an example. Take a look at A and B in the book. Well, go ahead, Rafid, read A.
The professor who teaches Chemistry 101 is an excellent lecturer.
So listen, is that a proper noun there, the professor, or is it just a common noun?
Just
It's just a regular old noun, man. So listen, that's important. I wouldn't be able to find the right professor, right? Unless I knew he taught 101. It could be a different professor. So anyway, that is really important to the meaning of the sentence. So another thing you can do is just remove it. The professor is an excellent lecturer. If I just said that to you, would you know what professor?
No.
See, that's important. Something's going to bleed. If you put commas in there, that thing's bleeding. Okay? So get rid of the commas. In order to find the meaning of the sentence, you need it. Look at the next one. Read B, Rafid.
Professor Wilson, who teaches Chemistry 101, is an excellent lecturer.
Okay, now look at Professor Wilson. Is that a proper noun?
Yes, Wilson.
It's his name.
Yes.
Hey, as soon as I say his name, I know who you're talking about. It's anything you say after that's unimportant. So I'm going to stick it in commas. See, I could say, Professor Wilson is an excellent lecturer. You know who I'm talking
Yes,
about.
we already know who he is.
It's just extra. I mean, it's nice. I give you extra details. He teaches Chemistry 101. So, therefore, I put commas. Everybody okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. C and D, we have similar situations here. Mohammed, read C.
Hawaii, which
Consists
consists of 8
principal
principal
islands.
is a favorite vacation spot.
Yeah, you know where Hawaii is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, again, it's a proper noun, and commas or no commas?
Commas.
Commas.
Yes.
Simply because it's a proper noun, Hawaii. All right, D. Fellas, read D.
Mr. Smith, who is a retired teacher, does volunteer work at the hospital.
Same thing. Commas, Mr. Smith, proper noun. All right, hey, now it's getting a little trickier. Okay, look at E and F. Ahmed, read E.
The man whom I met, teaches chemistry.
Yeah. All right, and then read F.
Mr. Lee, whom I met yesterday, teaches chemistry.
Good. So listen, here's what they're trying to tell you. In E, the man whom, that, or nothing I met teaches chemistry. Look off to the right. Let's see. Abdulaziz, what does this say? It says in E, you see that? In E? I'm over here, yeah?
No comments,
Commas
commas are using
are used.
Any possible pronoun may be used in adjective clause. Object pronouns may be omitted.
Yeah. I find that confusing. Do you remember the rule we were talking about when we first started talking about adjective clauses and when you can get rid of
Yes.
the adjective pronoun and when you can't? All you need to remember is every clause needs its own subject. So if the adjective clause, if the relative pronoun is the subject in the clause, guess what? Can I get rid of it?
No.
No, because it needs a subject. So that's all it's saying. So just look at the clause. If the relative pronoun is the subject, you can't get rid of it. Okay, if it is not the subject and it has a different subject, then you can get rid of it. Does that make sense?
Can you say, Mr. Lee, I met yesterday, teach chemistry?
Mr. Lee. No, you can only, with people you can use who, whom, or that. So you could say that. Does that make sense? Except when it's a proper noun. So that's the rule. And right below that, you're jumping ahead. But listen, it's a good question, okay? But when you're describing a noun or a proper noun, like Mr. Lee, and of course you're going to get the commas, right? It is illegal to use a that in that situation. You have to use a who or whom. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyway, back to what were we talking about? Oh yeah. So back up to this point on E. Okay. Let me put it up here. The man here's your options. Who or whom,
Teacher.
that or nothing I met teaches English. So listen, Rafid, all it's talking about is the nothing. You can only do nothing here's the clause, right? See that? So you can only do the nothing when it has its own subject and verb. Right?
Yeah.
I can't say the man, well, this one it works. The man who or whom I met, the man that I met, or the man I met teaches English. The problem is when you don't have this subject pronoun
You
here.
can't omit.
Right. It's got to have
You got it.
your dad. I know you got it. You just weren't sure because I was saying it too fast. All right. G and H. Let's see. Faisal, read G.
The man whom or who that I met.
Oh, no. G.
G.
We took some
Okay.
children.
We took some children on picnic. The children who wanted to play soccer ran to an open field as soon as we arrived at the park.
Okay. Now read the next one.
We took some children on a picnic. The children who wanted to play soccer ran to an open field as soon as we arrived at the park. The others played a different game.
All right. Let me ask you a question. Which one of those means all the children played soccer?
The first
The
one.
first one.
Yeah. Correct.
Because the second one, the others played a different game.
Correct. Yeah. So the point is, when you use commas, let's just read what they put, because they say it nicely. It says, the use of commas means that all of the children wanted to play soccer, and all of the children ran to an open field. The adjective clause is used only to give additional information about the children. So one way, again, you can test the meaning. If it has commas, remove the information, and it should still have the same meaning. So if I say, the children ran to an open field as soon as we arrived at the park. Well, that's all of them, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, everybody okay? All right. This is the trickiest part, though. Because actually it's legal, it's grammatically correct to say it both ways. You're just shifting what you mean by using commas. Is that you understand what I'm saying? Both G and H are correct, but they have completely different meanings.
Yeah.
G, all of them played. H, only some did. Turn the page.